We all have goals, right? Buying a house, maybe retiring without a worry, or even starting that dream business. But how in the world do you get from those big life dreams to an actual working investment strategy? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down today. We're going to deconstruct how a professional advisor takes your hopes and builds a real plan to get you there.
It really is the ultimate question. One minute you're picturing your future, and the next you're hit with a wall of financial jargon that honestly feels like it's designed to be confusing.
You hear words thrown around like fiduciary.
And then there's asset allocation. And of course, risk capacity. It feels like you need a secret decoder ring just to get in the door. But here's the thing. Under all that jargon, there's a process that's surprisingly logical and very human. So let's just cut through all that noise and break it down step by step. Okay, so before any money ever changes hands, the very first thing you need to get your head around is that there are rules. Rules that are there to protect you. This isn't some kind of free-for-all. It's a regulated space, and knowing your rights is square one.
See, regulators tend to split investors into two main groups. On one side, you've got retail investors. Now, that's most of us. We get the highest level of protection because, hey, the system assumes we haven't spent our lives studying the markets. And on the other side, you have professional investors, folks who are considered savvy enough to need fewer guardrails.
And this visual, it just nails the core idea. Think of it like a seesaw, As your knowledge and experience go up, the amount of regulatory hand-holding goes down. It's all about providing a safety net for those who need it most, while giving the experts room to maneuver. So here is the absolute bottom line. For retail clients, an advisor has what's called a fiduciary duty. This quote from a U.S. regulation just says it all perfectly. It means they are legally required to put your interests first, period. They can't just push a product because it gets them a bigger paycheck. Your success has to be their number one goal. Okay, so with those protections in place, what's the first active step an advisor takes? Well, their job becomes all about gathering intelligence. It's a phase called Know Your Client, or KYC for short. And believe me, it's way more than just filling out forms. It's the bedrock for everything that comes next.
This 6-step cycle you see here, this is basically our roadmap for the whole journey. We're starting right there at the top with steps 1 and 2, establishing that relationship and then gathering all the data. And this isn't a one-and-done thing either. It's a loop you come back to whenever your life changes. And what kind of information are we talking about here? We're talking about a full 360-degree view of your life. It's not just about your bank account and your income. It's your health, your family, your job, what you've already got saved up. And why? Because every single one of these little details can totally change what the right strategy is for you.
And here's where it gets really interesting. Look at how these life facts translate directly into strategy. A young entrepreneur, they can probably handle more risk to go for big growth. Got university fees coming up? You're going to need money that's safe and easy to get to. A politician might even need a special trust to avoid ethical issues. Or someone with health concerns might need a plan that generates income right now. You see, every life tells a completely different financial story.
So you've got all this raw data about someone's life. Now what? Well, the next stage is all about putting it together. This is where an advisor helps you turn those vague hopes, like, I want to be comfortable when I retire, into a clear, concrete blueprint. And it usually happens in 3 key stages. First, you just talk about your dreams. What kind of life do you actually want to live? Then comes a reality check. You test those dreams against what's financially possible. And finally, and this part is so important, you prioritize. What's an absolute must-have versus what's just a nice-to-have? Okay, let's recap. You know the rules of the game, you've gathered all the personal intel, and you've laid out clear, prioritized goals. Now, and only now, is it time to actually build the action plan. So, let's jump back to our roadmap for a second. We're now moving into steps 4 and 5, developing the action plan and then, actually putting it into action. This is where all that groundwork starts to pay off, and you can finally pick investments that are truly tailored to your life and your goals.
Now, we can't talk strategy without talking about a huge piece of the puzzle, risk. And I mean, this is about so much more than just a gut feeling. A real risk profile is a careful look at a few very distinct ideas.
First up, you've got risk tolerance. This is the psychological part. It's all about your willingness to see your investments bounce around without totally freaking out and selling at the worst possible moment. How much of a roller coaster can you really handle?
Then there's risk perception. This is your own personal take on things. Based on what you've seen or heard, do you think the stock market is basically a casino, or is it a powerful way to build wealth? Your past experiences really shape this one.
And finally, there's risk capacity. This one is just the cold, hard math. It's about your actual financial ability to take a loss without it wrecking your life goals. So you might be willing to take a big risk, but can you actually afford to if things go south?
So, in the end, your true risk profile is a mix of these objective and subjective factors. The objective stuff is what you can measure: your age, how much you have, your timeline. The subjective factors, the soft facts, that's all about your personality and your mindset. A great advisor looks at both to get the full picture, making sure the plan doesn't just work on paper, but that it feels right for you.
So there you have it. From understanding the rules to doing a deep dive into your own life, that's the process of turning a goal into gold. It's a structured journey from a fuzzy dream to a solid portfolio. And now that you know the framework, really, the only question left is, what story does your financial life tell?